Hello world, it's Dave again. Got another video for you here, my Lucid Dreaming Log 2. And because I'm on top of it, it's only actually going to be one dream this time and won't be a list of three like the start of this series was. Um, I had said before in this series that I'll probably talk about like dreaming as well as the actual dream itself. So I thought a cool thing to talk about before I say the actual dream itself would just be to talk about a few thoughts I've had about lucid dreaming. Um, and an interesting way in which they relate to our waking lives. And I got this from listening to this meditation. I basically, the easiest way for me to meditate, I found, is I'm so new at it that I really like guided meditations. So when I listen to them, it's somebody telling me the process to go through, what to focus on. And I found a few lucid dreaming um, guided meditations that I can use when I want to do this at night. And the thing that they talked about last night was really, really interesting, where when you talk about yourself as an individual, when we say the word I in today's day and age, we think about I meaning a very specific thing. We think about I would say, as our immediate consciousness. When you think about yourself, you think about I, and you think about the thoughts that I'm having, maybe the movements that I'm doing, and maybe some sensual things that you have, sense-related things that you have in relation to your extremities, like are your hands cold? Are you your clothing next to your body, all those kinds of things related to how they touch your body, and that with your thoughts and your intention. But then this recording was talking about how that's actually a very limited perspective of what makes up what you actually are. When you say I, there's actually a lot more going on, and you should be aware of when you say that. And they said that this can be considered as a part of the place to start, I should say, that you can begin to think about this is your passive systems within your body that make up who you are, but they're always passively running for you that you don't have to consciously consider them. And so the examples would be things like your heart rate or the regeneration of your cells. That is a process of I, that's a process of you, but you don't think of it relating to you because you're not immediately consciously aware of it. And so it's making the point that subconscious processes are just as much a part of yourself as the conscious processes that are occurring. And where this becomes interesting as it relates to dreaming is the ways in which we can kind of transcend that barrier between the passive and subconscious, and in doing so get into a lucid dreaming state where you're actually aware that you're dreaming, so aware of something that you would normally be experiencing passively. um, and so the way that they said the greatest way that you can connect to this, and it's no big surprise that it occurs with all forms of meditation, is your breath. And the recording was making the point that your breath is that intermediary where it's one of these passive things that's occurring usually, like I'm speaking to you now, I'm passively able to breathe and not think about the process. But if you want, you can consciously impact that. It's a passive process that you actually can fairly easily become a part of in a conscious way. And that in that way, it becomes a great gateway into into a lucid dreaming state, because that breathing is then related to an experience of being more relaxed. If you When you go into a dreamlike or a sleep state, there's a whole bunch to do with how your breathing changes that's going to send you on that journey. And if you can take a hold of that, if you can do it, that you go on that dreaming journey where you are the one controlling your breath, that you'll be more attuned to transitioning into the experience. And I can already feel, my dreams have been really unimpressive thus far, almost less impressive than when I have been focusing on them. I can think of a few times where I've had better, more elaborate dreams. But something that I can see improving very quickly is my awareness as I reach the border of sleep, where there's kind of a cutoff point I've noticed definitely when I am beginning to dream, where when you start to dream, you always almost wake up in the morning where you're like, I don't remember the point at which I fall asleep and nowhere near it. You might at some point feel, oh, I'm kind of comfy, but that's kind of where your memory cuts off. and beyond that, you just knew that you were asleep or that you were dreaming and aren't even aware of it. You're just in the act. Whereas as I've focused on my breathing, as I've done these meditations, I definitely noticed that that barrier is now being pushed back further, that I can remember closer and closer to the time at which I literally fell asleep. And it's really interesting because I can see already I'm gaining access consciously to an unconscious state. And so that's really interesting. That was just kind of my thoughts on the whole process, because I would, kind of looking at the dreams I've had, almost be a little disappointed in the first beginning because they're not too elaborate. I'm not remembering in great detail. I'm losing it very, very quickly when I wake up. But there are other improvements that are happening, so that's really cool. So I'll just jump in, finish this up real fast. The Dream 4, January 1st, 2013. The theme of this dream was another one of these. It was like I was captured, and I was in a prison, not like a horrible stone prison, like fairly well taken care of. I would say like a low security prison in the respect that you're well looked after. You got meals and everything. I remember dining at one point at this big oval kind of circular oval table, and there was one other member who was with me who I identified for whatever reason as being my friend. And I knew subconsciously, and my surroundings were almost kind of like there was an ocean theme. I felt like I was surrounded by water. And it was, I know I've watched recently the movie Monte Cristo, The Count of Monte Cristo. And so that seemed to be incorporated a little bit. Like this prison I was on was like Chateau d'If or whatever it is in that movie, where it's surrounded by water. So unless you like swam for ages, you wouldn't be able to get away from it. That's how restricted your movement was while you're on this prison. So the dream progressed where I really couldn't get away from this place. It's surrounded by water. I've got this one other friend who's with me. And then eventually the prison was attacked. I have this like French English kind of thing going on, Last of the Mohican styles, where the red coats were attacking the blue coats, and the blue coats were the one who like ran the prison. All weird subconscious stuff there, I guess. And I figured in the dream that while they were under attack, they wouldn't notice me escaping away. And so I figured that's when I would try and make my escape. And it was interesting to see how the dream transitioned at that point, because the goal of what I was doing didn't change. I was going to escape this prison. I went back to whatever room it was that I stayed in, and I was packing a bag. But then when I went to leave the prison, I got on a bike and I rode down a street, and all of a sudden this whole aspect of water being around me was gone, and I was back. I was like in this area where I grew up on Vancouver Island, very close to a friend's house, and I was making an escape to there. Just kind of cool to realize the fluidity in the dream that I was having, where some themes remain, but then other aspects of it were changing. And that's kind of where I woke up. And beginning to end, what I can recall, I'm sure there's much more. I kind of feel that at the edge of my consciousness that there was a whole bunch more there, but I'm still very much a rookie trying to recall in detail what it was that I experienced. So that's it. That's my dream for now. So if you enjoy my dreams, please do like, subscribe, share. There's going to be many, many more of these in the future as I continue to write in my journal and expand the dream log and continue to meditate and try and develop my ability to lucid dream. So I appreciate you dropping by. Hope you found this interesting. Like I like to say, until we meet again next time, world, thanks for tripping with Dave. Ciao for now.